It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Founded by men of many nations and backgrounds.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Doom Nation, what's up? We are back today. We're doing a little virtual meeting. It is Skaggs and your captain as always, and we are presenting a special episode because yesterday was effing crazy. What's up, Skaggs? How you doing?
A little bit better than I was yesterday. Yesterday was a dark day.
Yeah, you want to tell Doom Nation why we are a doomed nation? What are we talking about here today?
One topic and one topic only tonight, and that is the president has become an absolute psychopath tyrant.
Authoritarian dictator.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about his executive order that he announced yesterday.
Yes.
We'll just give our thoughts on that.
So,
we couldn't not talk about it or do an episode. It was way too important a moment, even in history, I'd say. So here we are.
We'll get into the actual how crazy it was, because this is something that's never been seen before. I did want to start off on one different note to throw you a curve, and just for the sake of saying we are unbiased. So I looked over this plan. I did a little bit of research of what his plan is. The only thing I could see that is agreeable on this, other than that, I mean, impeached, 25th Amendment, military coup, all the above is fine. So for testing, the only thing out of all of his 6 points of garbage, whatever, is the increase in production of 300 million at-home testing kits and to reduce the price up to making it 35% cheaper. Now, I agree. I think that is a good idea in the sense of as good as his ideas can get. Not everybody can resist. Not everybody wants to bend the knee, but some people are in positions that can't afford to lose their jobs. You know, you might have 2-3 extra mouths to feed. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You lose this job, you lose everything. You're living on the streets. I don't want that for anybody. You know, me and you have our own opinion on what people should do after what he said yesterday. So at least there is some type of option for someone who doesn't want to get vaccinated that can't afford to lose their job or can't afford to stand up to the establishment. I don't agree with anything that's going on, but at least there is some type of an option for people who might not have any other options.
Yeah. So first of all, don't listen to us. Our opinions are our own. Don't make any decisions based on what we tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Make whatever decision is right for you.
This is going to be a very angry episode.
So you're talking about, I believe he in there said something about trying to get like Walmart, Amazon, etc., to produce at-home self-testing kits at cost and sell them at cost, right?
Or no, to make them up to 35% cheaper.
All right. So how expensive is
that I didn't look.
Let's see. How expensive is a COVID test?
Or at-home test.
Yeah, let's see. Because I'm pretty sure when you go get a COVID test, it's like $50 to $100, is it not?
I'd never paid for them before.
Me neither. Sorry, I wish test collection kit at $36.99. Amazon.com said it will cut the cost of its direct-to-consumer COVID-19 PCR test collection kit to $36.99 A $3 price reduction. Thanks, Jeff Bezos.
How many tests are in a kit?
I'm not sure. Probably not many. I
one.
think I've tried to look it up. Let's see. Let's go to Amazon. We got in the weeds here right off the bat. Sorry, guys. Let's see.
It's all good. This is after this. It's all insanity.
At home. $36.99 results. So you still have to send it to a lab. This is for Amazon COVID-19 test collection kit, DTC, FDA authorized PCR test collection kit. Results in 24 hours from lab receipt. So it's still kind of a hassle because even if you have this at home and it's a PCR, you have to send it to a lab, and then you will get it in 24 hours. But that sets another, that sets like another roadblock in the way here.
This administration doesn't get anything right. So
is this FDA? It doesn't really say. I think it's just one kit. I think it's just one.
So $35 a week, basically.
Yeah. And here's the thing. So your point, your original, even to combat your original point of, they're trying to make it more affordable or reducing the price or whatever. Nothing is free, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what? Because Joe Biden tells Amazon, lower the price on this. They're going to raise the price somewhere else. There's a cost for everything. The vaccines, right? They keep telling us, we've made the vaccines free and accessible for everyone. We've been more than kind or whatever de Blasio said. Nothing is free.
Nope. Yeah.
Our tax money is paying for every vaccine that's out there right now. And where are they getting it? Where are they getting the money to pay for that from? By printing it, causing inflation. You're paying for it somewhere. Nothing is free. So don't believe that BS.
Oh, I wasn't saying it was free, but I just figured there's to sprinkle on a little unbiasedness to this. But now let's
I get it. So
let's dig our heels in.
So let's just say what exactly it is. President Biden announced Thursday night that vaccinations will be required for most federal employees, healthcare workers, companies that contract with the government, and private companies that employ 100 or more workers. Affected workers will have the option of being tested weekly for COVID-19 instead of getting the vaccine, despite previous concerns. So that's been the argument of people defending this, executive order, right? Well, you could get tested, instead. Well, so what? That doesn't mean that what he did is not unconstitutional or what he did is not an overreach, right? On top of the fact that we just kind of covered it, that it's an extreme inconvenience, especially for like a working class person to have to go and get, like a test every week to prove that. And then even on top of that, is that really a foolproof plan logically, right? Because if you have to do it only once a week, you could take your test on Monday, and then on Tuesdays you could get randomly exposed and infected, and you won't know again until the last week. So if we're doing things based on science, that's not very scientific in my opinion, and doesn't make much sense. I'm not arguing that they should make things even more restricted, but it's just the whole thing is just a mess. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, there's nothing. This administration has no more interest in the science of things at all. They spoke about the booster shot last night, and even the head of the WHO, the World Health Organization, has been screaming, "Hold on, we need to chill out with this booster shot stuff. We're not ready for it. We can't start administering the booster shot." And this administration's just like, "Yeah, F you. We're trusting our science. Booster shot, booster shot, booster shot." It's absolutely, I mean, it's complete ludicrous at this point. But oh man, I just want to start getting into it.
Get into it, man.
Dude.
The whole thing's crazy, right? Even his speech the other day, it was like crackpot authoritarian, right?
Bro,
for all the mean tweets and all the dumb shit Trump has said, that was a very dark speech he gave the other day. Let me just make the one crazy quote. There's two really crazy quotes from his speech that he said.
Know what they're going to be.
And one was, "We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us," he said, and all but biting off his words. "The unvaccinated minority can cause a lot of damage," and they are. So how many times have we said they're going to label the unvaccinated as the enemy group, the enemy of the state? That's exactly what he's doing here. The president of unity and understanding, giving an olive branch to his political opponents is now literally branding half of the country as enemies of the state, saying that our patience is run out. We've run out of patience. Who the fuck are you? You're
Yep.
a president. So what? That don't mean shit to me. I'm an American citizen. American people in this country have just as much rights as the president has. He has no authority over my body or anything, just because he's the president. Go ahead.
Yeah, that, and my Facebook status was, my patience is wearing thin with this administration. What went on yesterday, this speech was the most unpatriotic thing ever in the history of America. This was, like you said, one of the darkest speeches, and people don't even realize that.
No, they don't.
The thing that has set me off the edge, hoist the colors, fly the black flag, like no holds bar anymore.
Black flag is actually the anarchist flag.
Well,
but yeah, I know what you mean. But I'm just saying,
the Black American flag is based the opposite of the white flag. It means you will not surrender. You'll fight to the last man.
But go ahead.
The one line that got to me was, like, I didn't care, I didn't care to listen to him, but when I heard this, like, something in me snapped. This is not about freedom or personal choice. First off, the only people who say this isn't about freedom are the enemies of America. America is what it is because there is this freedom. There is the illusion of freedom. Don't get me wrong. We are not the most free that we imagine to be. But America is the way it is because we have more freedoms than anyone else in the world. And this is probably the first president ever to put anything ahead of American freedom. This is the most unpatriotic, treasonous, unconstitutional thing I've ever heard a politician say in my life, on top of all the lies. Hillary Clinton going, what's the big deal about Benghazi, all that stuff. You put freedom in the back seat. And that, to me, is to be perfectly honest with you, right then and there, the Secret Service should have knocked his ass out and arrested him. They swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. This is not upholding the Constitution. Yeah. He does not care about the Constitution. How dare you put American freedom, the one thing that separates us from the rest of the world, the one reason why everyone in the world immigrates to this country. You're so happy to get the Afghanistan refugees over here. You're welcoming everybody from the southern border with open arms. They don't need to deal with any of these mandates. You're giving you're giving Afghanistan refugees ivermectin, okay? But when Cuba wants to come over here, don't come. You're not going to buy our bullshit, so don't come. You put the one thing that separates this nation from the rest of the world in the back seat. Impeachable. Yeah. 25th Amendment. There is nothing this man can do that is ever going to salvage this.
Yeah, I used to be on the of like the opinion that, I don't think we should be going back and forth playing impeachment games, like when one party wins, the other party tries to impeach and vice versa, and we'll be stuck in the soup forever. But I mean, if impeachment exists and if holding a president accountable means anything, this is what it's for, right? Impeachment exists to remove a president who's gone completely insane and is, legislating by decree and has become basically a dictator. That's exactly what impeachment
what he's doing
for. Right.
And this is what Biden's doing.
And it's not going to happen, obviously, because the party is completely in line with him, and the fucking Republicans are spineless, feckless losers who aren't going to do anything besides issue tweets. That's the only thing they're going to do. So it's not going to happen, but I'm on board now. 100% impeachable. You don't get to, legislate. You don't get to rule over my body by executive order. And honestly, this president, we covered it going back to Inauguration Day. When I was in Florida, we did the first 100 days. Then we did another episode called the end of the first 100 days or whatever. Yeah. And I mean, this Trump set, was, I believe Trump had the most executive orders, and the trend has been increasing as the years go on. But my God, Biden has completely decided, and because he puts on this facade of I'm the kind grandpa, that he's put on that he's not perceived as some sort of crackpot authoritarian. He's done the most executive orders, I believe, up to this point
Out of any president.
And there's
he had more in the
difference.
first week than any president ever.
And look, there's a difference in executive orders, right? If the president signs an executive order telling, you know, I don't know, like a specific federal agency to give out candy or something, or I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, if
I
he's
want some candy.
if he's okay, let's say the president signs an executive order banning travel from certain countries, which I believe Trump did, right?
Yeah.
That's different from a president signing an, you know, putting an executive order out there that impacts an American citizen and is forcing them to be injected by a drug. Those are two completely different things. I don't agree with either. I don't agree with the process of executive order, but my God, like the level of difference between the two is stark.
Yeah. Well, on top of all of this, Biden has zero regard for the legislative branch.
Yeah.
And on top of it, corporations are going to fall in line with zero legislation. None of this had oversight or any form of congressional approval whatsoever. Only the only type of people that do things like this are kings and dictators.
Yeah, we're fascists,
no
right?
president. I don't want to say I don't know the history of every single president we've had, you know, the past 46 presidents, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say no president has ever just trampled the legislative branch like this and just passed whatever he wanted with zero oversight and zero approval.
Yeah.
And people are going to listen. That's the crazy part. People are going to listen. There's no authority. There's no authority to do this.
There isn't, no. He's circumvented the checks and balances system, right? And this is a problem that has been going back for many presidents. Like Congress has abdicated its power of like legislation, and you could even use war, for example. It's supposed to be Congress's, you know, like responsibility to declare war. They've abdicated all of that responsibility to the president to the point where now it's complete. It's been out of control, but now it's coming. The chickens are coming home to roost, and it's affecting people on like a ground level. You know, the president is not supposed to be the king. That was the
whole idea of this.
The president, you know, the precedent that George Washington set that he could have been the king, but he stepped down, and the president was not supposed to be king. It's supposed to be a checks and balances system.
Dude,
and,
do you realize?
Real quick, speaking of Washington, because this is another argument I've heard from people on the left, especially on social media.
And they say, well, George Washington had his troops vaccinated for smallpox during the Revolutionary War. And, you know, he mandated the troops being vaccinated.
That's not the same as this. Number one, that was General George Washington, not President George Washington. And that was during a war where they were fighting for the freedom against King George. Number two, smallpox was completely decimating the population at the time. It has a tremendous mortality rate. So the severity is completely different. On top of the fact that you're a soldier in his army, you signed up, you have to do what the general tells you to do. The president is not the general of America that rules iron fist over the country. Second of all, that doesn't even make it right. Right? You can't argue with me. I don't agree with what Washington did. Right? I'm saying I'm using like the rationale behind it. That doesn't mean I agree with it. So we're gonna point to like historical precedent, and those historical precedents were not the moral or right thing to do, and use them as justification to do more unmoral things in the president. So oh well, you know, well Hitler, you know, he did it in the past. He, you know, did the Holocaust and all the Jews. It's been done before, so that means it's okay if it's done again now.
Yeah.
It's the same
Why
fucking
not?
logic.
There's no logic to any of this. You know, I don't even like saying it's my favorite meme right now, but you know, there's a meme going around and it's being used a lot in tweets and stuff saying, you know, it's an interesting time because now I know who would have hit Anne Frank, and now I know who would have turned Anne Frank over to the Nazis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's getting quite clear who's gonna turn her over. What was I about to say before? Dude, who was the second president? John Adams, right?
No, wasn't it Jefferson? Let's see. Some
Just
history buffs we are.
No, yeah, John Adams,
Was it? Okay.
1797 to
Yes.
1801.
Okay.
If John Adams got up and spoke to the nation and said, this isn't about your freedoms, they would have shot him on the spot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. To compare anything that this administration does to any of our founding fathers is beyond ludicrous. If you want to know if you're a brainwashed sheep, swine, pig, compare what's going on now to what was going on in 1776. Please go ahead. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how
It's
much
gonna take
more?
some severe mental gymnastics, like I just described before.
Yeah. Brain splitting mental gymnastics. Just the dumbest of the dumb only consider that.
Yeah.
But
Good.
so something I noticed today. So I was on social media way more than I care to admit today since the speech last night, really.
Sure.
Because Dallas was playing last night, so how much am I really going to pay attention to that garbage team?
Yeah, I didn't even. I was so angry and just in a black hole that I didn't even.
It was
the channel.
It was fun watching Dallas lose. So it's been over 24 hours. It's 8:00, September 10th. Yeah, it's way over 24 hours since Biden's speech. 80 million people voted for this idiot, for a lack of better words. And not once have I come across on the podcast page, the backup page, my page, Facebook, TikTok, Gab, any social media that I'm on. Gab's an echo chamber. It's a poor excuse, but 80 million people voted for this dum-dum. I haven't seen anyone praising him. I haven't seen anyone outside of Washington praise what he did yesterday. There's not a single meme, a
White
single
Bill.
status, a single quote. No one on social media. And I know I follow liberal people. I know I follow Democrats. Our podcast page, we specifically follow people from the Republican Party, the Democrat Party, and the Libertarian Party. I have not seen a single positive tweet, quote, anything come out of this towards him. I've even been reading the comments on the White House's Instagram page, POTUS's Instagram page, Kamala Harris's Instagram page. Yeah, there's a few people who are like, yay, yay. But the majority, if there's 2,800 comments, I could promise you 2,000 of those comments are people who are furious.
Yeah,
On
that's
the
a major
flip-
white pill in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree. The overall backlash has been tremendous, right?
Huge.
On this, which encourages me. So if you're
Yes.
feeling, I was like upset yesterday and felt like dark about the whole thing, but seeing the reaction, yesterday and today has been a white pill, right? This is a line in the sand. This is the hill to die on, that we can't allow. What were you gonna say before? Go ahead.
So the flip side of all this, it made me feel great to see how many people far and wide were absolutely enraged and furious at what took place last night. We had a conversation with our group chat this morning it's not a podcast chat. It's a group of our friends. And one guy, he was a doomer, he's a member of Doom Nation, but he's a doomer, and saying he's pretty well convinced that people aren't going to stand against this. People aren't going to stand up for what they believe in. People are going to fold for the almighty dollar. People aren't going to get fired or quit their jobs. They're just going to bend the knee. And we pointed it out that it's not that way. We very well could be. I have no proof, but we very well could be the majority. We just proved last week that propaganda is spread so far and wide that the Rolling Stones is involved.
Yeah.
You want to tell me?
Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah. You want to tell me?
You kept saying Rolling Stones. That's why I named the episode The Rolling Stones, because you kept saying The Rolling Stones instead of Rolling Stone.
Whatever.
Ahead, sorry.
The Rolling Stones. Think of this. What does the Rolling Stones magazine have to do with politicizing a lie about a piece of medicine? Some medicine. That's how far this propaganda has gone, that the two of us, you did 20 minutes of research and called a couple of hospitals across the country and found out for yourself that the story was false. There's propaganda everywhere. It's wide and true. We figured it out on our very last episode. So I'm going out on a limb here. We're not alone, people. There are millions of people that feel like us. And on top of it, the nice part about this is vaccinated people could stand in solidarity with unvaccinated people.
And they do.
Yeah, and there's plenty of them. There's that picture that goes around of the two women with the signs on, I'm unvaccinated, I'm vaccinated, together we stand strong. The thing is, though, the vaccinated crowd is never going to accept the unvaccinated. You can never stand in solidarity as an unvaccinated person with the vaccinated people. So just by that alone, the numbers are in the favor of the unvaccinated community.
Right.
There's more of us out there.
I see what you mean.
Me.
An unvaccinated person is not going to go, I'm for mandates, but I'm not going to get vaccinated. That doesn't make any sense, right? So the numbers are in your favor. I agree. And you know what? Go ahead.
Just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you agree with what's going on. Just because so I knew yesterday when I found the second I found out Biden was going to talk about COVID, I knew it was going to be a direct attack on the unvaccinated. And the second, that's
a propaganda, scheme. Yeah.
I unfortunately missed it. I worked to 5 o'clock. He was on at 5. By the time I got to the gym, his speech was like almost over. And every TV, it's Fox, CNN. They literally do every other TV. And it all was the unvaccinated, the pandemic of the I knew he was going to attack.
Yeah, they got their marching orders. They got their marching orders from the administration, and the corporate media pushes it. Going back to what you said about our friend who was like very doomish about it. And we pushed back saying like, no, we're not alone. There are people out there. I was listening to Sergeant and the Samurai podcast yesterday, and they had on Teddy Daniels, I believe his name is.
We'll be doing something with them soon. Awesome podcast.
And they were talking about how they're trying to get the message out there, even if it's just like a few people who are subscribed to their channel. They're trying to make a difference. Even if it's just one person, you can affect one person. And I was sitting there, and it was, he's right. They were right. And thinking, I'm like, well, yeah, say maybe they are reaching 100 to 200 people. Okay. Maybe we're reaching 100 to 200 people, right? Maybe Alan Jacoby's reaching, 1,000 people, and Dave Smith's reaching 10,000 people. When you add up all of these people who are independent, thinking for themselves, putting a political message out there, trying to talk about the issues at hand, they add up to a lot of fucking people that they're reaching. And if you look at the statistics of the corporate media, CNN, MSNBC, their ratings are all way down. It's it's not like people all of a sudden just are not consuming information.
Isn't
news. They just left. They've left like that establishment point of view, and those are the ones pushing the propaganda. So I feel like combined, yes, like individually, maybe Two Doom Men, we reach 100 to 200 people, right? But combined, all the other shows like ours, where we are reaching the general larger audience, and we don't all agree on every single issue. Like us and Sergeant Samurai, I'm sure we don't agree on everything, right? We all have our individual beliefs, and we talk about things the way we want. But that's good. We're not supposed to all agree on everything. The way the corporate media all agrees on the one narrative.
That was the whole point of a two-party system. Now one party is demonized as domestic terrorists, and the other party is just a bunch of idiots that are holier than thou. That are above the law.
The whole two-party system thing is even just a great scam to begin with. They've been the uniparty for the longest time. They both have the same agenda.
Yeah, the two wings are attached to the same bird.
Right. The budget goes up no matter who's in charge.
But I mean, in reality, when this was all planned, we had a two-party system for a reason before it got into the mess that it is now. But I mean, what we saw yesterday was a disgrace to the nation. I always say, like, when we see these big things, I wish I could be like a fly on the wall and stuff. I really wish I could just be around Joe Biden today just to see him witness the absolute backlash. Yeah. I would love to be in the room and just watch, whoever's running like the POTUS Instagram and just you know, in 5 minutes getting 2,000 comments and 80% of it is just F you, you piece of shit. Just,
the
must
backlash
be a hell of a time.
was severe. And let's see if it has any effect on the rules, you know?
Yeah.
You know, my main thing with this, you know, this executive order he's passing is, you know, yeah, there's the excuse people are going to make, like we said at the beginning. Well, you could still get tested. How long is that going to last for? How long are they going to remain, you know, a two-pronged thing where you could either get vaccinated or you can get tested? Because spoiler warning, it's not going to work. COVID is not going to just magically disappear because they're mandating people to get vaccinated. It hasn't disappeared in, for example, Israel, where a majority of the population has been vaccinated. It's going to be an endemic. COVID's always going to be around. We're not going to just magically eradicate it, just like the common cold, just like the flu. It can't be eradicated. So the fact that, okay, yeah, you could still get tested, this is a bad policy. Forget about the fact that it's an overreach. It's unconstitutional. The guy's become a complete dictator. It's not even a good policy. And they're going to do what we always say they do. They're going to create a problem, and then they're going to come and say, we are the answer to your problem. They're going to write another policy that's going to be even worse. And the next policy is going to be everyone has to get vaccinated. Or they'll continue to like implement it little by little. They'll say, well, now this applies to small businesses also of less than 100 employees, 50, 10. You know, I mean, they'll go down the road. Then they'll remove the testing thing, and they'll just say you have no choice. And, you know, people, you know, this has to be fought by every possible means necessary, right? The Supreme Court, political opposition, impeachment, podcasts, people speaking out against it, protests, everything. This is the line in the sand. But even if it goes to someone, they're going to sue, right? I believe red states are going to sue.
Oh, there's up to like 20 something states that are
Right.
suing.
Even if it goes to the Supreme Court and they rule that this is unconstitutional, what the fuck does that mean to Joe Biden? They ruled that the eviction moratorium was unconstitutional. He's just said, fuck it. I don't care. It don't matter that you ruled it was unconstitutional. I'm going to do it again. So this guy is a literal crackpot authoritarian. He's already, you know, just completely ignored the Supreme Court telling him things are unconstitutional, and he just did them anyway. And if you really want to be red pilled by this whole scenario, just take this in. Vladimir Putin, the dictator president of Russia, a few weeks ago when he was talking about vaccinations, said it's not going to be mandatory. It's your choice to get it. In Russia, a literal dictator, former KGB agent, Soviet-style Russian, you know, the guy has killed probably hundreds of people himself. He is more pro-choice. He is more liberal on this than Joe Biden. A literal dictator is not being as much of a dictator as Joe Biden on this issue. Chew that one off for a little bit.
Yep. Sorry, my computer is just doing whatever it wants. I just lost screen. All right. Yeah, sorry that I screamed no in the middle of that. Okay. You're 100% correct. I mean, Putin is giving out more freedoms than Joe Biden is at this point.
Yeah.
I had a point I wanted to say, but now I forgot and my computer distracted me. Oh shit. Yeah, whatever. Just go on.
Let's go on to another absolutely insane quote from his speech. And this was regarding the governors. He said,
"Oh boy, I left a pretty good comment on the on POTUS's Instagram account for this."
Yeah, you know, he was saying how governors are trying to, you know, put you in harm's way because they're banning.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I've remembered my point. Okay, so you're talking about how. Where is it really going to stop? Right now, you could get tested weekly or you could just get vaccinated. It's eventually going to end where you just have to get vaccinated. What people really need to wake up to the facts about right now, and this goes for everybody, this crosses political lines. You know, if you're okay with what I'm about to say, then honestly, we should ship you off. You don't deserve to be a red-blooded American. We witnessed big tech censor a sitting president. A private company said, fuck the First Amendment for the sitting president, and it still holds up. Now we have another sitting president who is working with companies to mandate how and if you can work. They're going after the employed. What's to say the next steps after this Because remember, his patience is wearing thin. De Blasio said, we tried the carrot. Now it's time for the stick. All these authoritarian dictators can't wait for the big stick. The only thing that separates us is the Second Amendment from that big stick. What's to say next? You know, we warned you. We tried. We did everything we could. Our patience is gone now. Now we're going to work with Con Ed. Now we're going to work with the water department. Oh, you live at 123 ABC Street and you still don't want to get vaccinated? Okay, we're going to turn off your water and your power. Don't tell me that that's not an impossibility. Look at what's going on in Australia. They're building concentration camps. The NWO is the New World Order is having a field day in Australia, testing the limits of how far they could push those people. And over here, we have a president who's putting freedom in the back seat, saying our patience is wearing thin. They already got to the corporations. They already got to the companies that employ us all. All these companies are on board to start forcing mandates down our throat. What's next? When you go to the ATM asks you, oh, you need to scan your vaccination card. Oh, you're not vaccinated? You can't take out any money. You get to the checkout at the grocery store. Yeah, we let you in. You can look at all the food. Can't buy nothing now. Oh, you're not going to get vaccinated? We'll turn the water off. We'll turn the power off. There is no stopping, people. There is no.
You know how they could
stopping.
really enforce it? This is something Tim Pool was talking about yesterday, I believe. The IRS. They can go after your bank account, your taxes, withhold your paycheck. You know, it'd be hard for them to physically on the ground, let's say, go after a business who's refusing to, in Texas, that's refusing to follow Biden's decree. You know, do they have the manpower to go to like every business around that's not listening? No, they don't. However, the IRS could just withhold or, you know, make a business's, you know, life difficult with a few strokes of a key on a computer.
Yep.
So they could use that. You know, that's why the IRS should be abolished in general.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're talking about corporation and government and this, you know, merger. And I suggest everyone in Doom Nation check out the video we posted on our Instagram, on our TikTok of Dave Smith yesterday on Kennedy on Fox News. And he, of course, as it is, said how if you support these mandates, you are a literal fascist. And some liberal on the panel laughed, you know, had a smug laugh at him. It's like, do you even know what fascism is? And boy, Dave had the complete perfect response. He goes, well, why don't you, you know, define it for me? And she got caught off guard. She didn't know what to say. He goes, because I'll define it for you. I'll give you Mussolini's definition. If you're not familiar with Mussolini, he was the fascist dictator of Italy during World War II. And his definition was it's a merger between corporation and state. So tell me what the fuck is going on right now besides a merger between corporation and state, even to the point where you were talking before about Amazon, Walmart, you know, Biden demanding that they make the at-home tests more affordable. That's a merger between corporation and state. They could use the argument, well, it's a private company, you know, but he's giving them direction. He's telling them what to do. He's legislating rules they have to follow. That is fascism. A merger between corporation and state. They just use wordplay to try and justify that it's not. And we've been saying that for a long fucking time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything. We tried warning everyone about this. No one wanted to listen. Oh, I don't like the mean tweets. So this is what you get. A retard in the White House. An even bigger retard.
Yep. It's also this rule. If you are a business and you violate this rule, it's a $14,000 fine per violation, which is, you know, absolutely insane. You know, if there's a good thing if there's a good thing about inflation, it's at $14,000 is about to be worth absolutely jack shit. So it won't even matter that it's $14,000.
Yep.
And you know, that's the way it goes. You want
to roll into the mob boss mentality, attack on the governors?
Yeah. So this was the second absolutely insane thing he said in this speech. And this was in regards to this is really a shot at Ron DeSantis and the governors who are going to fight back against this. And he said that, you know, governors who get in the way of this executive order, you know, he'll get them out of the way. You know, he'll use his powers as president to get them out of the way. I mean, that's literally out of a dictator's playbook, out of the notebook of Hitler. Let's put it that way. Let me add some more color to this, right? Because this is really a shot at DeSantis.
Yeah.
And Biden said, that governors who are bullying teachers, he's going to get them out of the way. And he's talking about DeSantis, I believe, passed some actions or laws himself in Florida, or he's threatening to pull funding or not pay teachers who are enforcing mask mandates in the school, which I believe he outlawed the mask mandates.
Yeah.
He made a law saying mask mandates are not legal in Florida. That doesn't mean you can't wear a mask. It just means that mandating is illegal. The teachers and the schools are still making mandates in the school. And he's saying, if you do that, if you go against my rule, I'll pull your funding. I'll pull your salary for not following the law. So Biden is saying that he's bullying teachers and that he's putting students at risk and teachers at risk. The emails that we spoke about last week, you remember those, the ones that the Intercept pulled with the Freedom of Information Act? The emails actually also showed that the CDC was about to lift the mask guidance for children a couple months ago when they were lifting the mask guidance for everybody. But the teachers' unions, they opposed and lobbied the CDC in order to keep the mask mandates on. So is that following the science? Is a teachers' union lobbying the CDC to keep a mask mandate in place? Is that following the science? Because that doesn't sound scientific at all. Science doesn't care about teachers' unions and their opinion. A teachers' union is very powerful. A lot of people, a lot of money. They contribute to political campaigns. So it's indoctrination. The decision wasn't based on science. It was based on pressure from a union.
Yeah. I love this quote out of Biden. The comment that our podcast left on his Instagram was, wow, not only do you sound like a corrupt politician, you sound like a corrupt mob boss. And I know you know a few. My thing is, and this is all over like the conspiracy world now. Like, is this a threat? Because this is a good thing we know the establishment is dirty. We know the Clintons have no problem killing anyone. I'll say that openly. YouTube can, do as you do your worst, whatever. But if anything happens to these Republican governors who are trying to sue Biden, he'll get away scot-free, but there's no way, no one on the face of this planet is going to believe that he didn't have his hand in doing this. This was such a vague mob boss quote mentality right out of The Sopranos. I'll use my power to get you out of the way. What are you going to do? What's your plan?
Right.
Why is it so vague? You already have a plan to get, so as the president of unity, you have already realized that what you're decreeing right now is going to cause waves. So you need to have a backup plan to get these governors out of the way. How are you going to do that? The state elects these governors. You have nothing to do with them.
Right. Well, that's why they want to pass, HR, whatever, to nationalize the election system so they could just probably rig every election. But at the same time, that is definitely a threat.
Talking about elections, if Newsom loses the recall election, you're going to see an entire Democratic state be 100% in favor of election audits. Mark my words.
Okay. We will see. We'll hold that receipt.
Yeah.
I feel like, dude, we're close to civil war is not impossible.
No.
We're in the and when you look back on history, people might say we're not in a civil war. A civil war could be like a time period of strife. Like there's not necessarily like the red coats on this side and the blue coats on that side, and let's line up and fire at each other. Without a doubt, we're in some sort of cold ideological civil war that's
political warfare
going on right now. And, now you have the president literally threatening governors that are ideologically opposed to him. What does that mean? I don't know. We'll see. But I'm not ruling that out either. There could be violence. We've seen violence already, in Portland. I think I said in our text this morning, we saw it in Portland. We saw it on January 6th, right? There's more of that story, but that's still violence at the end of the day. Antifa running in the streets, punching people, doing all,
BLM, yeah.
all sorts of shit, right? You know, so I don't know, dude. It's we'll see. I don't.
You know,
I shared a tweet from I believe it was Thomas Paine the other day, and it's like, you know, I prefer peace, but if there's going to be trouble, I'd rather it be in my time so that my children don't have to face it. And you know, if it's going to happen, I agree. You know, someone who has a kid on the way, let it be now.
Yeah.
Let's get it out of the way. Let's sort it out.
Yeah.
I'd rather me deal with it than kick the can down the road, and my kids got to deal with all this bullshit or some sort of conflict.
Dude, if Texas was going to succeed from the states and become its own place, I'd move to Texas in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? It's getting to, I'm not going to say a scary point because I don't want to be a big doomer, but it's getting interesting. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the line there's some type of incident, air quotes, aka some false flag, red flag type of incident that starts justifying people collecting, you know, the government collecting our guns. You know what I mean? Because really, the only thing that separates us from turning into Australia is the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Joe Biden last night 100% proved that he has no problem being authoritarian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Our argument with the Second Amendment also is the same argument we're making here. It's never a flat out, you know, sign on the dotted line, your rights are all gone. It's incremental. The same way the attempt to remove the Second
Nazis
Amendment
did.
is incremental by banning this and then banning that and then limiting your magazine and banning that style of gun. It's the same thing with this COVID regime. It's only 100 employees and testing now. It was only a vaccine passport. It's just. So for the people that keep saying it's just, I don't want to hear it because it's always going to be, it went from it's just 15 days to now, you know, we're basically mandating the vaccine for certain employers and, you know, trying to create a social credit system. It's never going to end. After 9/11, when they passed the Patriot Act, when they created the Department of Homeland Security, when they created the TSA at the airports, that stuff didn't exist before, but they used 9/11 as like a justification. Well, now we need all these more government agencies. Now we need to spy on people that, thank God, Edward Snowden exposed, right? We just left Afghanistan. Is the TSA going away? Is the Department of Homeland Security going away?
We don't need them anymore.
NSA? No, they're not going away. We don't need them anymore, right? But they're not going away because the government always keeps growing and never gives away any power that it has. And we wouldn't have even known that they were spying. The NSA was spying on us, you know, spying on every single American's phone calls, text messages, whatever. If it wasn't for Ed Snowden, who whistle blew on the entire thing, if it wasn't for that one guy, we wouldn't even know about this. So who knows what other things they're working on or projects they have or whatever. It took one brave person to blow the whistle, or no one would know to this day about it.
It's endless. We had our back and forth last night about how nefarious and dark that this could be. I don't think anything's off the table, man, from world domination to mass genocide to just I really, these people are evil. Republicans, Democrats, they're all of the same, you know, flock. I really don't think there's anything off the table at this point that they're willing to do. We know the CIA will kill American soldiers just to start a war somewhere else. You know, they did it in Vietnam. Why not? You know, why not bring it at home just to start the war at home? It's wild, you know. But like I said, I really think there's going to be something coming down the line for the Second Amendment. And then you actually brought up the social credit system. Yeah, it's just a passport. Now it's, you know, once the social credit system comes in, then just like what China does, you don't obey, you don't get money, you don't get to travel, you don't get to do this, you don't get to do that. We're already at the point where you get to do this and get to do that. So all this is so, you know, if people just woke up, you know, and it was crazy too to see some, you know, one of your more liberal friends on Facebook. You want to go ahead on that? Because that was monumental for me. I was like, wow, if he's taking a step back, I got the Homer Simpson, the end is near on with the bell. Just the end is near.
You did send that. Yeah, that was a major white pill for me. I'm not going to name any names, but that really changed my whole mood this morning. A friend of mine who's very, you know, left, I wouldn't say he's a leftist, but he's very liberal. And me and him have had a lot of debates,
Battles.
maybe not battles. We've always been pretty, civil. We've always gone back and forth over things. He's always been very, toed the line of the left, the narrative. And even he this morning tweeted something along the lines of, I'm all for trying to get as many people possible vaccinated. He's like, but I don't know how I feel about mandating it via the whole businesses thing. And I saw that and I was like, wow, that's how much of an overreach this thing was. That somebody who's not agreed with me on anything ever,
somebody who's completely indoctrinated
has seen the light on a certain issue. And I literally commented, I'm like, thank you. Finally, thank you for the white pill for once. And that was one white pill. And like I said, we were saying earlier, just the amount of pushback on social media, on Twitter, was tremendous. And there was, of course, still people cheering it on, but I'd say majority was against it. I do want to say Kyle Kalinske from Secular Talk, dead to me, completely dead to me. I used to really appreciate his show as a liberal, as a socialist, trying to get perspective. I always thought he was very fair. He's defending Biden's, this whole thing. He's defending it. Completely dead to me. I will never listen to his show again. I'll never watch him on Rogan again.
Howard Stern too.
Yeah, another one.
Howard Stern, fuck your freedoms, get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Fuck you, you dirty old man.
Howard Stern's his argument was, I have a freedom to travel freely and be free from getting sick. Boo-hoo, the billionaire doesn't have the freedom to all of a sudden. You don't have the freedom to travel. The rich are completely excluded from all this shit. They could do whatever they want. Our buddy Jimbo works at an airport. The rich can fly on private jets. Yep. No testing, no security, no nothing. Give me a fucking break, Howard Stern.
I know. I work in a area that I deal with a lot of wealthy people. My boss knows very extreme wealthy people. I deal with millionaires on a daily basis. And they knew somebody who brought their entire family to Greece. And somebody got COVID on this trip to Greece. They couldn't get back to America. They got back to America because they have millions upon millions in the bank account. Me and you would be sitting on the streets of Mykonos right now begging for scraps if we were in that situation.
Mykonos probably not that bad of a place to be
No,
homeless.
probably not.
But yeah, you're right. The rich people skirt around all these rules. It doesn't apply to them. That's because we live in a corporatist society where good.
And on top of all this, you're not fully protected from getting COVID once vaccinated. That's like the real insane part of all this, that like millions or thousands of people are going to lose their jobs. Life is going to change for everyone across this nation. We are in uncharted territory because we have this authoritarian nut job in the White House that is so focused on getting people vaccinated, and it doesn't even fully work.
Right. It's not 100%.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Listen, YouTube, sorry. If you want to get vaccinated, please go ahead.
We are also not doctors. Do not take any medical advice from us. But go see your doctor, talk to your doctor, etc. Go ahead.
But there is continuous proof from Israel, from Australia, from all around the world, from right here in America, Texas Democrats fully vaccinated, spreading COVID throughout Washington, D.C. You got to take a step back and think, why are we focusing?
Right.
Why are we going to change the entire landscape of America? Why are why are we putting freedom in? Why are we putting vaccinations in front of personal choice and American freedom if you could still get COVID?
Right.
Listen, like if people were dying by the busloads and the millions, like when COVID started, and our friends in the NYPD were stacking bodies, and our friends who were nurses were stacking bodies, if that went on from March 2019 to September 2021, and we're stacking bodies by the hundreds on an hourly basis, and the vaccine, you got it, you get it, you don't get sick anymore. Cool. Maybe let's, make sure everyone, because the world population is decreasing, but it ain't. It's a 99% survival rate. And look at the reports out of Israel, out of how many breakthrough cases of people who are already vaccinated. We're going to change all of America's freedom and you could still get it. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Look, if it really was right, there's a 99 point whatever percent survival rate, for most people. It's really, the most deadly for the elderly. The law of supply and demand,
smokers, yeah.
the law of supply and demand, which I've, referenced numerous times on the show, applies also to pandemics and vaccines. If this, virus was as deadly as, say, smallpox or the Black Plague, right? You wouldn't have to mandate it. People would be lining up around. You wouldn't be able.
They'd be killing each other for it.
You wouldn't be able to make enough of them in order to give it away because of the threat. People would see it. You wouldn't have to mandate something, that people would need because people are dropping dead everywhere. The law of supply and demand is literally working right now. But of course, government is trying to interfere with supply and demand by mandating it. It's just that it's not really an economic thing. Now we're talking about like a health decision. Yeah, man.
I know. Where do you want to go after this?
If
I get into how I really feel, we're gonna get the whole show pulled down.
We can't get into how you really feel. I saw an interesting quote I wanted to share. Just thinking of I've had so many conversations with people who don't agree and are trying to protect this or rationalize this stuff. And I heard a quote today on Liberty Lockdown's podcast, and they said, "You can't wake up people who pretend to be asleep." And I, because they keep talking, we keep talking about like, when will people wake up? When will people wake up? Right? They're already awake, but they're literally pretending, la 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 la. No, I believe everything going on. They're not really asleep. They know they're wrong. They're pretending to be asleep. You can't wake up people like that. They've made a conscious decision to ignore reality. So, I mean, I feel like people like that are beyond help. You're never going to change people like that. That's a little bit of a black pill. I'm sorry. But then at the same time, I gave you a white pill before.
Well, no, I mean, I don't disagree with you all. We could really dive deep into Q and Anons on this topic, but I'm not going to. But they always said that, like, with talking about the Great Awakening, you were never going to wake up 100% of the country or the world or anything. There's just people that are too far gone, that are even with proof are never going to believe it, and B, like you're saying, that are just purposefully staying asleep, just that they can't accept it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no matter denial.
Yeah, no matter. I mean, even if. Just last week we were talking. Just not even last week. A few days ago we were talking about how there's proof that Fauci lied to Congress, and people just know that's fake news. No, right? You're not going to wake up. There's no way you're going to get 100% of it. Just like it's crazy to think for the government and this administration to think that there's that we're going to get 100% of America vaccinated. It's crazy.
Even if you waved the magic wand and did, COVID would not just disappear. No. It would not. It would still be breaking through. Yeah. It would still be transmitting. Again, we're not doctors, we're not experts, but being vaccinated does not just completely eliminate transmission. It is still possible to transmit COVID if you're vaccinated. So that's why these mandates and these rules, these passports, what New York City is doing, doesn't even make sense, because if you're vaccinated, yes, you have some protection, especially against getting severely sick, according to everything we've seen so far. But it doesn't mean you can't pass the virus around
and spread it.
And that's what I'm saying. You can still, so it doesn't even make any sense. You are vaccinated. You've done what you can do to make yourself feel comfortable, to give you the added protection you can get. Someone else might be vaccinated and you're stuck in a room, or you're put into a room where you can only hang out with other people who are vaccinated. All of those people could still have COVID and be transmitting it. Maybe it breaks through on you and you get sick. It's the same exact fucking thing if you're in a room with a bunch of people who are not vaccinated. They could also transmit it to you, and you could maybe get sick. Maybe you don't because you've been vaccinated. It's the same thing. So the rules don't even make sense. They're completely asinine. On top of the fact that some people have the natural immunity, like we were talking about before, and they have their own antibodies. But that is completely ignored for some reason. You know,
a healthy lifestyle is completely ignored.
yes, there's been no mention of that stuff. We've said that so many times,
You know,
and it's it's the most unhealthy people who are the most militant about other people getting vaccinated. I know them personally, some of them. They're the most militant people, the fattest fucking slobs you will find. I'm sorry if it's mean, but they're mean to us, right? So, did you get on a fucking treadmill lately? Maybe if you started eating a little bit better, you wouldn't be you wouldn't be high risk, you know?
Take vitamin C.
Me and you both have had COVID. Did we fucking die? No, because for the most part, we're healthy dudes. You work out, we take care of ourselves, try to eat good. We survive. Someone else our age should be doing the same thing. You should be taking every precaution possible. If you want to get vaccinated too, go ahead. That's an extra precaution. You shouldn't be not doing anything else and then telling me I have to get vaccinated to protect you. Meanwhile, you're eating fucking Doritos and Snickers for dinner. Every night.
And they're the people that'll get to keep their jobs. The little fat slob that sits at his desk and cranks away the numbers all day, but the good, healthy, strong people that don't feel that they want to get the vaccine, get out of here.
Well, that's a trend. That's a trend across society in general now. Nothing about merit anymore. It's about equity and being part of the class that's in power or whatever. That's just another extension of it, dude.
Oh, two-tier justice system. I mean, look at what happened to Larry Elder. A woman in a gorilla suit attacked a white woman in a gorilla mask, attacked a black man, and nobody in Washington, no other Republican, no Democrat, no one in Congress can give a fuck less about what happened to him. Full-blown hate crime. Nobody can care about it. And on top of it, the LA Times wrote a story about there was an altercation involving Larry Elder. And instead of showing the picture of the woman in the gorilla mask throwing an egg at him, they put a picture of him with his hand on a white woman's face. It looks like he's grabbing her head. I kid you not, look this shit up.
Yeah, I believe it. It's nothing explains the society now more than white liberal woman throws egg wearing a gorilla mask, throws egg at black person running for governor because of white supremacy. Because that person's anti-white supremacy. I saw a funny meme, and it was actually of Fred from Scooby-Doo and the woman with the ape mask on, and Fred goes to pull off the mask, and it's Gavin Newsom underneath the mask.
You posted something about it being Jen Psaki.
Yeah,
and
because her pitching arm,
the same.
The same pitching motion.
It's very similar.
Who knows,
I was watching Brady yesterday, and they were showing him through the years of how he's been getting quicker with the release of how quickly he could release the football. And I mean, he's been in football for how many decades now, and he's had the same motion. I mean, Jen Psaki she might need to be investigated. She's also quickly becoming one of my favorite corrupt individuals because, boy, she's ironclad. She was built for the Biden administration, man. Just what she's done today alone has been impressive. I was always impressed with Cuomo doubling down no matter what. Like, Cuomo, there's 9 women standing right there, and they all have proof you assaulted them. Nah, they're all wrong. All right, bro. I respect. You're just gonna double. She was asked a few tough questions today, and one of them was just like, "How come illegal immigrants don't need to go through the?"
Yeah, Peter Ducey asked this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know the exact wording.
He asked. The president. I think he said something along the lines: the president promised when he was running for president he wouldn't mandate vaccines. And now he is for American workers, but. Is it true that people coming across the border illegally, there won't be any mandate for them to be vaccinated? And she goes, yes, it's true. Turns around and moves on to the next question. And he basically said, why is that? He says, is that true and why? And she said, yes, it's true, and just moved on, or turned around and left and moved on to the next question. She's the mouth of Sauron, bro.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? She's the propaganda arm of the of the administration.
I don't like her. I don't agree with her, but I applaud how gangster and built she is for this effing administration. I mean, she fits in like a puzzle piece.
Hey,
They
I'm
couldn't
sure,
have picked anyone better.
Yeah, I'm sure Kim
I-
Jong Un got a great spokesperson too, just like that.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
Biden hit him up and maybe referred to her. Or something.
I mean, they picked her up out of a farm, a cookie cutter Democratic sheep farm. You will say whatever I need you to say. Okay, no problem.
No, they got her out of Mordor, bro.
Yeah, I mean, what a champion.
flames
She
of
gave
Mountain Dew.
no fucks today. None.
Yeah.
None. I respect that. If you're gonna give no fucks and just be blatantly corrupt, I'll respect it. You know,
if you're gonna be the evil propaganda doctor, like go all in. Do a gents. Be the best at your job. So she embodies that. You know what I mean?
She even denied Fauci lying. No, what he said is correct.
Right.
Not what this 900-page report says. No, he's correct. All right, Jen, you're good for you, yo.
Yeah.
I mean, also something for Doom Nation. If you listen to our previous episode, we talked a lot about Dr. Fauci and how he did, in fact, fund, through EcoHealth and the NIH,
research.
Yeah, the gain of function research on COVID and how it could infect people. And Ron Paul was right. He was lying to Congress. Rand Paul was right, and he's been lying to Congress. It's funny how a week ago Afghanistan was this big blunder, and then this information came out about Fauci, and it's all really damning for the Biden administration, and it raises a lot of questions. And then Biden comes out with this, and now it's all anyone's talking about.
Yeah. This has been in the works for a while, though, bro. I have to give props to Jack Posobiec. You know who Jack Posobiec is, right?
If I saw the tweets or his handle, I'd probably recognize him.
He's been saying something like this was coming for a while. I don't know if you remember, I mentioned that he was saying
yes, I know what you're talking about.
Back in August. He was saying like the second week of August, Biden's going to come out with some speech. It's going to be very dark and be about COVID and the vaccinations. What happened was Afghanistan happened, right? And then he couldn't get around that. He couldn't come out with the speech then because he was busy with that whole thing. Yeah. Now Afghanistan is over. And, he ended up doing this speech. Jack Posobiec called it. He was saying it a day or two ago before. Even he's got some sort of sources in the White House. He's a good person to follow on Twitter if you want to know shit that's coming. Follow Jack Posobiec.
Which is so wild that, this is the one thing I got to say that I hate about America, and I hate about the average American's attention span. And what I hate almost the most about the mainstream media is that the news cycle turns on a dime, and just every idiot from coast to coast just forgets what happened the day before. Oh, it's the new shiny object to look at.
Yeah.
And next week there'll be another shiny object. This tyrant of a president left Americans in Afghanistan. Biden hasn't kept a single promise to any of us through the little minute campaigning that he has done. Barely kept any promises, but he kept his promise to the Taliban about when he would leave Afghanistan. This guy left Americans in Afghanistan. Tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and there's still Americans stuck in Afghanistan. The guy didn't even wait a full week to get this speech out.
Yeah. Well, he already had, like you said, he already had it queued up from.
Oh, yeah. I know he did.
He just waited for the most opportune moment to do it.
The second it was available, which, I mean, 25th Amendment.
It is annoying. Yeah. Like, for example, I was thinking about today, I'm like, I wonder what's going on in Cuba. Remember when that was the whole news story and everybody was focused on that? And that's completely disappeared from the news. I just did a quick Google search, actually. And all the information is from back then. There's no real update,
because they're not reporting it. They're not. It could be complete mayhem down there. They don't care. Cubans aren't going to vote Democrats. So
and sometimes we fall victim to that too. Like we talk about the things that are in the news at the time. I guess it's kind of like the nature of our show a little bit. But, we do and we don't. We do try and have I do remember everything that's going on. Me and you have a long memory. But
I mean,
good.
If you look at it, like, let's just take, for instance, like the algorithm on TikTok. We've been doing pretty well on TikTok. our first big video that got a ton of views was the bullshit from that chick who didn't like the national anthem, who was an
Yes,
American
Gwen Berry.
Olympian. Yeah. And that got a ton of views because at that time, everybody was talking about the Olympics and we did all the
Yes.
hashtags.
That is true.
You know, fast forward to when the police were talking all the nonsense in Australia, everybody was focused on that story. We had the head. So you're almost damned if you do, damned if you don't, because we could be talking about the backstories of X, Y, and Z of what should, you know, we should be focusing on the possibility of the Arizona audit coming out. We should be focusing on what Fauci did, what we spoke about last week, and how that's just being swiped under the rug. We should be still seeing and giving updates on Trump's lawsuit against big tech, but it's not going to get the views. It's not going to get the clicks. It's not even a hashtag. What mandates right now and all this, it's all anybody's, it's where all the eyes are.
No, you're right.
You know?
I've gotten pretty good at figuring out the TikTok algorithm already. You know, for example, like you said, I shared that video about the Olympics during the Olympics, Australia, while that was in the news.
Yeah.
Today, I shared Dave Smith's conversation the other day about fascism and whatnot, and that exploded. So I figured out a way to, you know, reach people with news and stuff that's important. And that was the whole purpose of us going on TikTok, to try and show, you know, this social media where there's a lot of young people that maybe don't get exposed to these news events or ideas. So at least, you know,
Look,
I agree.
go
ahead.
Yeah. The Afghanistan dogs, 11,000 views. What is this? The ivermectin horse dewormer in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that was our biggest one.
60,000 views.
60,000 views. Yeah.
And now here we are with what you posted about Biden being a fascist with Dave Smith, 16,000 views.
Right.
You know, I mean, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah. Well, again, what's the most funny about that, you know, the TikTok thing we've come to learn is TikTok is way more pro freedom of speech, or, you know, algorithmically, at least, in terms of like exposing,
good word,
exposing our page and our points of view to people than Instagram. Because I'll share the exact same video, the Dave Smith video from today. I shared on Instagram. Let's check it real quick. And it has 201 views on Instagram. It has 16,000 on TikTok. So, you know, who's more pro freedom of speech, the CCP or the technocrats of America, Vladimir Putin or Joe Biden? You know, think about that for a little bit. I think that's insane. A good place to end it. Yeah.
Because if I want to rant, but then we wouldn't be able to put this on YouTube.
I hear you.
All right. So speaking of our TikTok and our Instagram, it is at 2domen_podcast. There's a link in our bio on Instagram. It leads you to our link tree where you can find us everywhere that we are posting. So Doom Nation, thank you once again for joining us on this special episode. Listen, it's hard times. It's crazy and unprecedented times. We will try and report whatever we can, whatever we're allowed to report to you guys. Because
we're going to report whatever we can. If it goes so much against the grain that we can't say it on YouTube, fuck them. We won't. We'll put it on Rumble. It'll go on the audios. So I don't put it that way where we'll report where we can. No, we'll report what needs to be reported.
Well, I mean, that's what I meant. We'll report what we can on the platforms we can. We'll put, if we have to lead you somewhere else, we will.
That's why you got to follow our social stuff. Right? That's how we can communicate with you guys outside of episodes.
We are the majority. We are not the minority. There's more of us out there than you think. And I'm not saying that to be nefarious or some type of terrorist. There's no way in hell we are alone. There's more people out there that feel like this. It's scary times. Roll with the punches. Stand your ground. Stand for what you believe in. I'm not going to, don't go January 6th on everyone, but stand up for what you believe in.
Yeah, don't listen to the FBI agents.
Yeah. We, the people, will always have the numbers. It's the truth. No matter how you cut it. If you want to divide us, we, the people, will always have the powers. If all the nurses walk out of a hospital, what's left? A building full of sick people. The hospital will have no other choice but to fold to the will of the nurses. We, the people, have the power. So, Doom Nation, we will hopefully turn this nation around one day.
Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in to this special episode.
Yep.
Godspeed
man.
with this administration.
One last point. Americans are resilient people. We've fought tyranny. We've fought oppression many times in our brief history on planet Earth. It ain't the first time, and it ain't going to be the last time. So don't be too black-pilled about what's going on, because we've done it before. We'll do it again.
You know, one thing I wanted to say before we log off is that, you know, you look over the course of history, for as long as America's been around, for as long as all these, you know, older nations have been around, no one who has ever mandated things like this, no one who has ever restricted freedoms, no one who has ever forced the economy and the corporations to mandate something that people don't want, they've never been on the right side of history. Hitler was not on the right side of history. Mao, Stalin, Mussolini, you know, all these crazy dictators. And you know, we call Biden a dictator, fine, because we feel and we go by the authoritarian definition. No, you know, when you're in contact with someone who believes this, they're not, you know, history will tell it differently. I know that you have your quotes of whoever controls the power controls the future and stuff like this. The freedoms we lose today, our grandkids will never know about these freedoms.
But you're still on the right side of history right now. Let's put it that way. Doom Nation, me and you, all the other podcasts we listen to, we're on the right side of this. Don't let anyone try and convince you otherwise, or try and put you down and think, oh, you know, there's nothing we could do. Everybody's going to fall in line. No, that ain't true.
No, that's not the American way, and it never will be the American way. That's why there's an attack on freedom. That's why there was that headline that these Southern Republican states that focus on freedom are going to have massive death counts. Oh, freedom is the cause of death.
Yes. Okay. Right. They want to make freedom synonymous with death.
Yeah.
Literally. Think about that. Try and think critically, think deeply about the manipulation of language and words here and all that stuff. They did it with ivermectin, right? They're trying to make it horse dewormer, you know,
Nobel Prize, essential medicine.
That's a tactic, dude. That's a tactic of the establishment, of Marxists, of just evil people. Manipulate words, manipulate speech, so you can change the perspective of people.
Wherever this goes, however it plays out, by Joe Biden simply saying this is not about your freedoms, he's not on the right side of history.
Yeah.
It's the end of story.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Godspeed.